everyone. I'm Ari Meghlen here with Rachel Poli, and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. We are on episode 15, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different for this mini milestone episode. So this week's question is, what have we learned running a podcast? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening so you never miss a show. If you enjoy our episode, please give it a like. So, today's episode is about podcasting. We have a few thoughts on this.
I am laughing.
I know, we're right in the middle and you're just ruining it.
I know.
Number one, find a co-host who won't ruin everything by laughing and trying to distract you. Rachel.
No, that time I actually wasn't trying to distract you.
Just do it on purpose. Okay, I think we should start with the main one. And that is that you hate your voice and everything you say when you do a podcast. I think that's the main one. That's the first thing I learned was how much I hate my voice and my accent and everything.
I love your accent.
Oh.
Don't hate on the accent. But I will admit, the first thing I noticed when we started a podcast was how I speak. And I knew I wasn't a good speaker, but I stutter so much. And instead of thinking before I speak, I think while I'm speaking. So a lot of my sentences, I pause in the middle of my sentences. And then I get hyper aware of it. And then I mess up when I'm trying to explain things. And then I start to ramble. Probably like what I'm doing right now.
I am the same in the sense of I stutter. And I didn't realize I had that bad of a stutter until you start listening back to your episodes and you're like, oh, wow. I said the same thing like 4 times. When did that happen? And then you do become obsessed with noticing that and repeating words. That is also, as well as stuttering, repeating words is our big issue. In fact, I actually think we could start a drinking game on the words we say, because apparently I use the term I think so often in these podcasts. While I'm editing, I can see I think. So I feel like that would be a great drinking game. So if you're a drinker and you want to enjoy yourself, you know, every time I say the term, I think, take a swig. You might be legless by the end of a 15-minute episode, but I'm sure you'd have fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're always saying, I agree, definitely, exactly, like, which at least a lot of people say like in the middle of their sentences. So that's not just us, but you definitely hear it more, especially when you're editing back the episodes.
Yeah, it's so grating because that's all you hear. And it feels like it gets louder. It's like. So, no, and as you said, like, exactly, definitely. When did we get obsessed with saying those things? I don't even feel like I do that in normal conversation.
I do it in normal conversations either, but I think just doing it through video chat, and since we're not in the same room with each other and we know we're recording, so for some reason that's in the back of our minds, we start, I don't know, there I go again.
Finish your thought.
I don't even know what the rest of my thought was.
I'm leaving all this in so you know.
Yeah, you know what, go for it. This is just one of those episodes. Giggly this morning.
I blame you. You totally started this. It took us ages just to do the intro because somebody, Rachel, kept making me laugh, so I couldn't do the intro properly. So yep. Yeah, it's all your fault.
I told you a few episodes ago that whenever we got comfortable, you know, recording the episodes and stuff, I told you I was going to be a pain in the butt.
You did. And
so I warned you.
You are matching onto that perfectly.
Speaking of talking, I noticed that when I was editing, I don't even know which episode it was. It was the episode where we were talking about should authors have websites?
Yeah. Episode 13, 12? 11?
12?
We have no idea.
I don't remember at all, but I was editing that one and I mentioned the website host Wix, but I pronounced it as Winx. Even though, like, I knew it's Wix, W-I-X, but as I was editing it and as I was doing the closed captions for YouTube, I kept hearing myself say Winx, and I was doing the closed captions and I typed in WIX so that hopefully people would know that I actually know it's Wix instead of, but see, that kind of stuff you can't change. You can edit all you want, but you can't change exactly what you say.
Yeah. No, I think I did catch that when you said it, but you were on like you were in such a perfect set with what we were saying. I didn't want to be like, hey, you made a mistake. Because if we're gonna start doing that with each other, you'd be waving at me constantly. You've made another mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, I lose my train of thought constantly. So if I get interrupted, forget it. The episode's done. I have nothing more to say.
Well, like you mentioned how you will think while you're speaking, and I think that says it all, that we do that. We kind of, because we're kind of ad-libbing a lot of this, and we'll talk about that in the next point.
Mm-hmm.
But we are ad-libbing a lot of this, and you can get halfway through and you have no idea how you're supposed to end that sentence or that thought or that point. And that's why we ramble, and that's why we kind of have these long pauses, which you people might not hear those because we cut them out very cleverly most of the time, sometimes maybe.
If we can, depending. Sometimes they're hard to edit out.
Oh yeah, sometimes we mess up so much, it's like, we can't get rid of that. That's going to have to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to the next point then, which is it's easier to have a loose script. Now, we didn't figure that out straight away. Despite all the planning we put this podcast through when we started planning, like middle of last year, was it? It was something ridiculous. Like
it was September.
Was it September? Yeah. Some ages ago time when we started planning it, not even when we launched it, just planning it, that we weren't really sure of how we were going to do it with the script and everything. And the first few episodes, you'll probably tell, are a lot different to the current episodes. I hope you'll notice that.
Hopefully we're better.
I'd like to think so. We'll find out in the comments.
Yeah, really. Remember, guys, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
And we moderate, so haha.
No, yeah, we have all the power.
Delete. We only want nice things.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think we originally started a bit more rigid with our scripts, but also a little bit less structured with our scripts. We kind of went all over the place. Not saying we don't do that a little bit now, but we have kind of got a system together with the script, with the exception of this episode, which is all Rachel's fault because she wanted to change how we do our scripting just for this episode to mess us all up.
I'm smiling. Nobody can see me, but I'm smiling.
I'm going to be gesturing in a minute at you.
Well, this is Ari's episode to edit, so it's fine.
You are so mean. We even got to the point where we started color coding our scripts, but then I did mess up on one point where even with color coding, I managed to read part of Rachel's points. So it does help to have a loose script, but also know what you're saying and read the right part.
Well, I think the hard thing is you and I tend to agree on a lot of stuff, other than the fact that coffee is better than tea. But we do agree on a lot of stuff. So when you read my part, I think you were just rolling with it because it was the same thought as you anyway. And I was sitting there realizing that you were reading my part, but I was like, okay, I'll just try to come up with a response to my own point. And then after you finished reading it, that's when you realized it and you stopped the whole episode and you were like, wait.
It did not dawn on me, even though, because I kind of run a lot of the script through my head, like notes, and because we like have points, and we don't have like a full script. It's like scattered points and sentences every now and then of things we want to remember to say. And I usually try and run through bits of it in my head so I sound a little bit more like I know what the hell I'm doing. But obviously I hadn't done that at all with that bit, so it felt really awkward saying, and yet my brain didn't go, it's awkward because it's not yours. Stop talking. So, but that was hilarious because you started responding and I just went, no, stop.
It would have worked out in the end. But it doesn't matter how many points we make. I still tune you out often. Like,
thanks.
More often than I care to admit. And it's nothing against you. That's just me. When people talk to me, I just zone out. There are some times where Ari will say something And I'll hear the first part of it, and then I won't hear the last part of it. And then for a minute or so, we're staring at each other because she's waiting for me to respond. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
We did have that happen on a recent guest episode where our guests were speaking, and as they finished, I'd made some comments on an earlier point, so I thought it's, I'll let Rachel make comments, and we both just were staring at her, and She was just gone, and it was like, hello. That was so funny. That was really funny.
I'm staring at both of you through the camera. I'm looking at you guys, looking at me, and I'm sitting here thinking, what's happening? Did my camera freeze? Am I still here? Apparently I'm here physically, just not mentally.
I hope that nobody else tunes me out, because that would be very upsetting if our listeners were also tuning me out.
Well, if our listeners tune us out, that's fine, as long as you listen to the whole episode. Give us the full listen.
Yeah.
You don't have to comprehend. Just give us the full listen.
Let it wash over you. Don't take any of it in.
Yeah.
Because apparently we don't either.
But despite us tuning each other out, or me mostly tuning Ari out, we are pretty organized. Even though we have loose scripts, we do a lot of planning for this podcast. We have things on Trello, Google Docs, Google Sheets. We're constantly emailing each other. Like, no joke, I'll email Ari 5-6 times in a row, usually with the last 2 emails saying, this is the last email today, I promise, which usually isn't the case. But we have meetings and agendas. We give ourselves homework because we meet once or twice a week for the podcast, and we'll give ourselves homework, and then the next week we meet. Hopefully we do our homework. Some weeks are better than others, but then we have checklists. Like, we have a whole entourage of podcast stuff just everywhere on the computer, in notebooks. It's crazy, but we're both really super organized, and I think we're kind of freaks about organization, which is part of the reason why I think we work so well together.
But yeah, we are like that, and we do get a lot of organized systems in place. And the homework thing, what I think is hilarious is that we both have a habit of leaving it to the last minute, and then we'll try and rush it, and then we'll come on the next day, we're like, hey, I got most of my homework done this morning. It's like, so we're very good with the way we have our systems, but we are also big procrastinators when it comes to actually doing certain things like our homework.
But we meet the deadlines. That's all that matters.
I think currently we have, but I think that once or twice where it's been like, I totally forgot I had homework.
That's true. That is true. Or sometimes things just get in the way of the week.
Yeah.
And the podcast just totally falls to the wayside. But good news, we're ahead, so it's fine.
Then this is why, because things can get so out of control. Although, yeah. I don't know about you, but I get so confused because we'll record episodes. So we'll have like 3 or 4 episodes recorded. And then obviously the current episode will get launched. And I'll get really confused about what day it is, what episode should go out. I mean, I have accidentally almost loaded up the wrong episode to get launched on YouTube and Podbean because it was the latest episode we recorded, not the correct one for that day.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way, because we'll record episode, 3, for example, but I'm in the middle of editing episode 2, but episode 1 is going live. So I need to market episode 1 while I'm editing and setting up episode 2 while we're recording episode 3. It's crazy. And then I need to think of points to talk about for episode 4. And yeah, the days all jumble together, and so do the episodes.
This is why we have to be organized. This is why we're a little bit anally retentive with all our documents and sheets and to be honest, I think Trello's our main one, and that is our godsend, isn't it? It's like, if we didn't have that, which is like, it's so full of notes and points and graphics and links, it's like, it's where everything lives, and we wouldn't be able to cope without it.
Yeah, Trello is like our podcast hub world. It's great. I can't imagine. I don't know what I was going to say.
Drifted again. Did you just drift again?
I had something to say about Trello, but I can't remember.
Like, if we didn't have it, or if the fact that other people probably don't do as much organizing as us, and they manage just fine.
Yeah, I know.
So sad.
But I mean, I think Trello is great because I had discovered Trello years ago and I tried it for probably about a day and I didn't like it and I never went back to it. And then Ari had everything set up for the podcast already in Trello. So I was like, all right, fine. I guess I'll get used to it. And now I have all of my other projects on Trello. And it's just so satisfying because Trello has the labels with the different colors and then they have the checklist that you can check things off. And it just makes you feel so productive, even if you do procrastinate.
I love the checklist. Is that really sad? But I use checklists all the time because I just like it when you tick it off. It's like, oh, 4 out of 8 done. It's like, yeah, I can see my progress. Yeah. It's so sad.
Well, yeah. And then sometimes when I do something extra that's not on the checklist, I'll add it to the checklist and then immediately check it off.
It's your to-do list all over again, isn't it? Writing them on and scratching them out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I think, no, I know other people and who manage podcasts are probably absolutely fine to not have to do what we do, and I appreciate this is probably just us and our slightly crazy way of doing things, but it really helps us. And you know, power to everybody who doesn't need to be this organized. But apparently we are very organized but scatterbrained. So without all these checklists and links and sheets, we honestly, you wouldn't have a podcast if we didn't have all this, I think.
No. It definitely helps to do it with someone, because I think if I was doing this by myself, I wouldn't be on episode 15 right now. I probably would have done a couple of episodes and then stopped. Let's be real.
That's actually a good point. I'm impressed with anyone who does a podcast on their own and has to deal with all of it. I know our episodes aren't always very long because we specifically try and keep it short and sweet so people are okay to listen, because let's be honest, everybody tunes out and they'll probably get bored halfway through, so we try and keep them short. But there still seems to be a lot of work to do with them, and if you're the only person doing everything, doing the marketing and the editing and the planning and the brainstorming, I don't know how you do it. It's great. We are like in awe of you people who have a single podcast host and does it all, but having two and being able to fob work off on the other person is great.
Yeah, I think we have a good system going because we alternate who takes the lead on the episodes, and then whoever takes the lead does the editing for that episode and so on and so forth. So both of us, we're still doing the same amount of work, but we also get a break in between almost. I mean, there's always something to do for the podcast.
Oh yeah.
But it's less from week to week.
It also means the other person knows how to do everything. It's not like one person deals with all the tech side and the other person just deals with the marketing. Because if you do that and the tech person then gets ill and the other person doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's a good point.
Yeah, we need to be able to take, it's like, as Rachel said, we do alternate. That's why I'll do an intro one day and Rachel will do an intro the other day, because that's how we do it. But if one of us is ill one week, we need the other person to be able to just step right in and do everything. And it's like, that's why we do it this way.
And that's where Trello and Google Docs and Google Sheets come in handy, because we throw everything on a shared thingamajig.
Yeah.
So if something happens to one of us, the other can just pick up where they left off.
Yeah, there's not like, could you email me that? I don't think I've got it. It's like, no, it's on there somewhere. Just dig for it.
Yeah, exactly. It really helps out when you're editing, because editing is such a long process. Even though our episodes are, I don't know, roughly 20-ish minutes, or we try to have it be that, editing is like 3 or 4 times that length. It can take me up to a couple of hours to edit one episode. And part of that is because sometimes I will tune out the editing process, because sometimes we'll actually be doing really well speaking that I won't have to cut anything. And then I get distracted with something else, or my dog will distract me. So I know a lot of that time is probably my fault too, but editing is very time consuming. And if I had to edit one episode a week, I don't know if I'd be able to manage that.
No. I'm wondering if there's people out there going, wow, they edit? We do. I know it sounds a bit rough, and you know, we have our weird errors and we say the wrong word and we stutter and everything. But honestly, we do edit. It is so much worse than you think. Like what you're listening to, it's so much more polished. It's like beautiful.
I know, like we still sound pretty bad sometimes, but we sound pretty good.
It's seriously, could you imagine if people just like if we did it live? Oh, that's painful. People would be like, we're never listening to this shit again.
No. Well, even when we start recording, probably the first 10, sometimes 15 minutes of the actual recording is us just bantering back and forth before we actually start the episode.
Yeah.
So we have to cut something somewhere.
And then on the bad days, because we have had some really bad days. I can't remember which one it was, where I think I just stopped the episode right in the middle because I was having such a bad day and everything was going wrong. It's like, we have to start again from the top.
Yes. That was episode 11. I do remember that one. I don't remember what episode 11 is. But I remember it was recording episode 11 because we recorded for about 15 minutes and then we were like, you know what? This just isn't working. And we just scrapped the whole thing and started fresh.
Oh, we needed to, though. It was like everything that could have gone wrong. It's like there were noises. We struggled to remember what we were saying. We stumbled over every word. We kind of lost thought and just long pauses. And then when we had to fix an issue, we couldn't remember what we'd originally said. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah. And you know what? You're going to have days like that. I'm surprised we really haven't had too many days like that so far. I think it was just that one episode.
Yeah. We've not been too bad.
Knock on wood.
Oh, this is it. This is why our episodes are so short. They're not actually that short. Sometimes they can go for like 45, 50 minutes, but then we have to cut it all down. It's like, hey, 15 minutes.
Yeah. We do that for you guys. You're welcome.
But one of the things is, we record episodes, we edit episodes, we send each other the episode to make sure we're happy with it, which means we listen to these episodes so friggin' much that we really hate listening to our voices, listening to these episodes. We get so tired of it that we do need to take a break from listening.
Yeah.
We're going to have nobody following us by the end of this episode. They're going to be like, what the hell?
Hey, we're real. It's fine.
I think we need to talk about the worst thing that we've come across with podcasting, like the worst thing that we've decided to do in podcasting.
Oh, yes. By all means, go for it.
As you probably know, we are all over the place. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on a million other places we didn't even know we were on, apparently. But we're also on YouTube. And because we try to be good, we use closed captions to make sure that our podcasts are available to more people. And we fucking hate closed captions. Seriously fucking hate them. Excuse my language, but I fucking hate closed captions. This probably comes from the fact the longest time I took to edit closed captions was like 3 hours, and then it crashed again and I lost all that time. And it's because apparently YouTube hates our accent. Really, really hates mine, apparently. So while YouTube will actually, I'm using the word actually a lot, while YouTube will create closed captions automatically on your video, it does make mistakes, as you can expect. And we want to make sure that it's correct for anyone who needs to use them. So we have to go in and edit them. And it's awful. It is the worst thing ever that we have to do. We put it off all the time.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about procrastination. There it is right there. I think every week, whenever I'm supposed to upload an episode, I always tell Ari, oh, I have to do the closed captions for this today because the episode is going up tomorrow. And meanwhile, this episode had been edited and up on YouTube for probably a week or so. And here I am just being like, yeah, I should probably get to that. But it's so time consuming. And after we record and after we edit and listen to it over and over and over again, the last thing you want to do is listen to it again just for the closed captions.
Exactly. And especially because it's like it takes ages. Sometimes you're struggling to hear what we actually said. You're thinking, did I really say that? And the closed caption gives you such a weird word. And also, when you edit closed captions, it automatically saves every few seconds. Apparently, it lies, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll say, saving changes, all changes saved. And then you come out of it and you go back in and they've not fucking saved. That will just boil my blood constantly. And we keep thinking we'll stop doing them, but we really do like to make sure that, our podcasts are available to everyone. So yeah, we do want them on, but yeah, we hate them. with a passion.
It's very time consuming. And as Ari said, YouTube, it doesn't save them. So there are times where we do the closed captionings 2, 3, sometimes 4 times. And it's, her eyes are wide and she's shaking her head at me right now.
Feel the temper. The temper's coming up just thinking about it. But could you imagine if we had like an hour or 2 hour long podcasts? I mean, as Rachel mentioned, our episodes are usually between 15 and I think the longest has been 40 odd minutes. I think because it was a guest episode, it's like 40 odd minutes. That's it. Could you imagine if we had like a 2 hour episode having to do closed captions for that?
Yeah, no. But with that said, we really do love podcasting.
Here are all the things we hate, but we do love it.
We do. We have a great laugh usually when we're meeting or we're recording, as I'm sure you guys have figured out by now. We love all of our followers and we appreciate all that they do, whether it's liking the episodes or it's sharing them on social media or, even just listening, and that's it. And it's great. It really is. We work really well together. So I got lucky in that sense. And we're both introverted. So I think that's another reason why we work really well together. But also this is helping us come out of our shells a little bit. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I think especially because we both have quite bad anxiety. So this was a big challenge for us.
Yeah.
To sort of step out of a massive comfort zone and be like, I'm going to record voices and talk to people and put it out there for people to listen to.
Yeah.
But it's actually like really fun what we've done.
It is. It's so much fun. And it came pretty naturally to us. But I think that's because we work so well together and we think a lot alike. We're both super organized, and I think we've got a good thing going.
We have the same humor as well.
Yes. Yeah, we do. I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, that could actually be bad. But like you said, it's like we love our followers and our supporters. We are happy, shocked that we have followers and supporters.
Yes.
We went into this thinking if anyone listens, that is great, but we will, we're just doing it. We're enjoying what we do and we're hoping that people will listen. So the fact that we are getting subscribers, we are getting followers, we are getting comments, we're getting shares, we're getting people reaching out to us on Twitter talking about our podcast. It means so much because we weren't really expecting it.
Right. I know. It's funny though, too, because the two of us absolutely love to give ourselves work. And I had been thinking of starting a podcast for a while. And I didn't know what I would do a podcast about. And I was afraid to do it by myself. And then one day I went onto my email and Ari had sent me a message saying, I have a crazy idea. Feel free to say no. But, and she pitched the podcast idea to me and I was all over it. And I think it's worked out so well so far.
To be honest, even if you'd have said no, I think I'd have probably just like harassed you a little bit, like, oh, but it'd be so great. We should really do it. Because I wanted to start, because I don't think I'd be able to have done video or go on YouTube as a normal like vlogger. But podcasting felt like the step between a blog and a vlog. So it's kind of like tentative steps towards doing something different. But I didn't want to do it on my own. You need someone to bounce off. You need two people to have that kind of different energy, different ideas. Otherwise, it can be more difficult. So, right. and obviously you were the first person I thought of, and it was like, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes, please say yes.
If I recall, I think you were a little bit shocked at my response. I think I got back to you right away and I was like, yes, a million yeses. Let's do this.
I think it's because I knew you were already really busy with a load of other things. I think you'd probably just put something on your blog that you were like working on another project. It's like, oh, this is like another project on top of all that she's doing. Yeah, let's ask her anyway.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how you and I work. We have a bazillion things on our plates and we're just like, oh, we want to do this? Okay, let's do this too. Yeah. It's been such a learning curve, but it's been great because, I knew a little bit about, graphic design and editing episodes and things like that, but I've learned so much more. When you're a writer, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to constantly learn new things. And this is just one of those things. It's been a blast to learn.
I have to admit, I was shocked that you said yes. I think because when I started the Merry Writing hashtag game on Twitter, and then I managed to con you into getting involved, and then wouldn't let you go. So it's kind of like, hey, do this game. Here's all the work it takes. I honestly thought you'd be like, podcast as well. No. So I was very, very lucky that Rachel is as crazy as I thought she was to just take it on. But no, it is
crazy. What gave you that idea?
I know, right? I think it's been brilliant. It has been really, really good time. And we have already got shed load of ideas for like loads more episodes. So we ain't going away anytime soon, just so you know.
Yeah, we have episodes planned through the end of 2020 at least, at the time of recording this. So you're stuck with us.
Totally.
If you've listened to one episode, now you're locked in to listen to every single episode. We'll know. I haven't figured out how we'll find that out yet, but no.
Oh, okay. This is probably going to be one of our longest episodes, I think, depending on how much we have to edit.
Yeah, have fun listening to this one.
Oh, I've got to have so much editing to do. You've no idea.
Oh boy.
Okay, because the giggles are starting to come a lot more now. I think we better end this episode.
Okay.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be back as usual next week for our normally scheduled writerly topics. As always, feel free to leave us a comment here or on Twitter using the hashtag The Merry Writer Podcast. We do try and remember to check it. If you want to get some extra content, head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Merry Writer Podcast. You can support our show and get yourself some rewards. Tune in next week for another episode of The Merry Writer Podcast, where we ask all the right questions. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Writer's Block. We hate our brains. The music, titled Inspired, is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0.